Hello, hi guys. How's everybody doing tonight? Coming in tonight with another awesome chalk tour project. I figured I'm gonna move away from the holidays just a tad and try to do a like a wedding. Well, Love Grows here with a wedding twist is kind of what I was thinking. So let's just get the old iPad going. Oops, we are good. Hopefully it stays on there. And actually I'm gonna raise this up. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera. I just want to raise this up just a scotch so you guys can see the whole project. So let's see, I think that should be good. Tighten that so we don't fall down. All right, now I think we can see pretty much the whole thing here. So what I was thinking is to use the Love Grows here and the pots from that transfer set, which actually is called Love Grows here. So that's pretty easy to remember. And then what I thought I would do is come in with some of the Mr. and Mrs. And that is from the marriage labels transfer. So what I was going to try to do was put Mr. and Mrs. actually on. I think it'll fit. So what I was going to do is actually use this pot twice at the bottom because I feel like that should fit perfectly on there, I hope. And then put the little and sign in between. I think I should be able to fit that. We're going to kind of, let's see. Let me just actually measure that real quick and see. So if we put this right up against here, that right against there, that's going to be a little tight. I might not be able to do the end. All right, you know what? I'm going to wing it, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to cross our fingers and hope for the best. But in the meanwhile, I've got some really pretty colors over here to my left. I'm going to use white, obviously. Always white for Mr. and Mrs. I have this amazing coral. Yeah, let me make sure I'm saying that right. It is, yes, Couture Coral, and my very favorite peacock. I also have off to the side here, this is our Thai teal, which is an older color that we have. I still have a good amount in there, so I figured these colors all kind of go nicely together. And then our amazing cherry blossom, that might be for some of the flowers. We're going to see what we can fit. This is our amazing Aiden chalkboard, and it is magnetic, and it is guaranteed for 50 years, and it does just so happen to come in your kit when you join to become a designer. So I love demoing on this because it's a great opportunity to see all the different things you can do on this amazing board. It is a 9x12. I do have my transfers because I have used these before. I just labeled a B on the back for back, so that we know when I am returning my transfer to the carrier sheet that I want to return it to the shiny side, not the paper side. That's why we label it back. So I have used this quite a bit, so it doesn't feel quite as sticky as it once did when I first opened it. However, I am still going to just lightly fuzz it, and by that I mean I'm literally putting it onto my pants, picking up some of the fuzz from my pants so it loses some of its sticky. So we're going to go ahead and just center Love. I'm going to actually try to scooch this up a little higher because I want to take advantage of all my space on my board here, and that's okay that it's doing that. It's not affecting the transfer. I'm just flipped over the teal section, but the transfer is all that we're really concerned with. So I'm just kind of making sure I have pretty much the same amount of space on both sides. And again, I'm going to do the same process with the next transfer. Again, it's still sticky. I want to just fuzz that on my pants or your shirt, or you can fuzz it on a towel. If you have a towel next to you, that's fine too. Additionally, when I prep for coming live to do projects, I always have a water pan next to me that's got some nice warm water in there. You can use cold water. I just prefer warm water. And that way, when you are done with your chalking on your transfer, you can just throw the transfer right into the water. Hello, Meg. So let's just try to get this one centered. I'm just kind of putting these both on at the same time. Why does my love look crooked? Hang on one sec. I just want to stick this to my table real quick. And sometimes I have to hold it up. Yeah, that's definitely crooked. It's hard for me to tell sometimes when it's laying flat, so sometimes I just have to lift it up and check. Let's see if that looks a little better. How are you, Meg? That looks better. That's more centered. Okay, and then we're gonna do this one next. And just watch, because even though I have a tiny bit of space right here, it is teal. And if I went to lay this kind of close, look, my H is gonna go right over that. So it's obviously not gonna come out on my chalkboard. So you just have to watch when you're doing that. So if I wanted to get it really close up here, what I could do is do this one first and then the next one next. But I think I've got plenty of space for my pots down here on the bottom, so it's okay that it just goes over just a tad here onto the Love transfer. So long as I got my H on the board, you're good to go. And because I now layered this one on top of this one, I'm going to start here and then go there. So when we have this, I actually just removed the foil from this right before coming live. And so what we want to do is we want to give this a nice vigorous stir, getting all around the corners, not corners, or all around the bottom of your jar. If you hear what sounds like Rice Krispies, that's perfectly fine. You want to keep stirring till you no longer hear the Rice Krispies. That's just all these little organic pigments in here, kind of stirring up nicely to get that nice consistency of yogurt. Some of our chalk pastes actually are a little thinner than others, and that's perfectly fine. If they get to the state like my white is right now, where it's a little thicker, all that you need to do is go ahead and just put a little squirt of water into your jar and give it a nice stir. And I'm actually I've had this white for so long, I keep thinking, oh my gosh, this project is where I'm going to have to be opening up my new white. But it keeps getting more and more projects out of it, so that's perfect. These are our 3-ounce chalk paste jars, and they retail for $12.99. And as I just said, tons of projects out of our chalk paste, so no worries there. So I'm trying to decide. I think I want to do the coral and the peacock for the top, because it is kind of like a little bit feminine, a little bit male color to me, but I didn't want to go just traditional pink and blue, so I kind of chose colors that are similar but not. So let's do, and I just squirted water right on my board. Let me get that off. Okay, so I think what I'll do is coral for the first, for Love. So what this is this is a squeegee that is our small squeegee, and I cut it in half. And I do that so that I can get into smaller spaces. So all that you literally are going to do is put chalk paste on your squeegee. A little goes a long way, and you're only covering the silkscreen area. And I just goofed because I said I was going to start with the bottom, and I started up top. Oh boy. Well, that's okay. I'm going to work quick, so I'm going to go really fast here so that my chalk paste doesn't dry. Because our chalk paste does go on wet, and it does dry hard. So when I go over it again, I'm literally just trying to get the lines out and getting all that excess chalk paste right back into my jar. And I almost had a major boo-boo there. I just literally touched the tip here. So what I'm going to do, because I was not paying attention, and I just almost contaminated my jar. No worries, I caught it before I dunked it in there, so we are good. I just got the coral off of the tip here. So let's go ahead, because obviously we don't want to mix our colors together. I mean, you can and create your own. That is perfectly fine, but not in your jar, because then you wasted your whole jar, right? You can certainly put it on a dish and mix your colors and create a brand new color. But like I said, we don't want to do that in our jar. Oh my goodness. That almost made me cry. So all I'm doing is just going over one more time, getting all the excess chalk, making a nice thin coat on here, and all that excess, now that I have the right jar in my hand, is going right back into the jar. My squeegee is going into my pan of water, and now I can remove both of these transfers. Look how beautiful Peacock looks on our chalkboard. Oh my goodness, there's nothing like it. And then we will remove Love. And when you're removing, just try to apply even pressure straight across, so that way you're not stretching out your transfer. Those colors look so nice together. Love it. Love it, love it. Okay, I think I might be done with Peacock, so what I'm going to do is just close my jar so that my paste does not dry out. This will dry on its own in about 2 to 3 minutes. However, once I get my lid back on my chalk paste, I'm going to help that along with my little dryer here. You can easily use a hair dryer, or you can use one of these little dryers that you can get at one of the crafty stores. So let's just get these guys covered. There we go. My little stirries are going right into my pan of water as well, because I clean those off and reuse those. And then we will help this along and dry it just a tad. I'm going to raise this up because I have a little shadow over Rose here, so it might be a little hard for you to see it. So let me pull that up a little bit. Can you guys see that? How pretty that looks on here? My room is a little dark. Okay, so what we're going to do next is, because I want to use this pot twice, and I'm going to do it in our Thai teal. So because I'm using the same color, I can actually lay this down twice, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I want to make sure, again, my chalk paste has that nice thin consistency, because I want to get a nice thin coat on my flower pot, because I want to use it twice without cleaning it. So I feel like that's got definitely the consistency of yogurt that we're looking for. So what I'm going to do, a little dot here, that's going to drive me nuts. Okay, so again, this is labeled back, so no worries there. I'll know to return it to the correct side of the carrier sheet. And same thing, always the same steps. Label your transfer, fuzz your transfer, place your transfer, chalk. Remove, put in water. It's pretty easy. You do not need to be crafty at all to do this. It is literally just using a squeegee and placing chalk through a silk screen. So anybody can do it, I promise you. Okay, just trying to get, I had a little bit of dried chalk paste that fell out of the jar fall on here, so let's slide this up a little bit. And I fuzzed my my flower pot. I'm trying to get it as close to the edge as I can, because I'm trying to fit 2 pots down here in the bottom with that little and in the middle. We're going to see how that works out, if I can fit the and in there. So when you are placing your transfers down, especially because I'm kind of hitting the side of the board here, you want to make sure that you're not feeling any bubbles. This one has a pretty big screen here, if you can see that. And I can see when I'm just touching it that it is moving. There is a definite air bubble in there. So what you want to do is you want to lift it up again, and you can use a squeegee to help you with this. You can use the squeegee to help pull it down nice and tight so that you're not having that bubble in there at all, because I can tell you from experience, if you've got a bubble in there, you are going to see that when you take your transfer off. You will definitely see it doesn't look quite as crisp as, see how that looks? You would see a little bubble in there. So once I do that, I just place my fingers over top, making sure that I'm not feeling any bubbles. I feel like that looks pretty good. And so we're going to go ahead and get some of our amazing teal on here. I'm going to cover it pretty quickly, and then I'm going to lay it down on this side and cover it again with the same exact color. So I'm going to have 2 teal flower pots. And this is pretty quick. Once you get, this is our other small squeegee. It's just the orientation of it is different so that it's got more room for your fingers on top. I happen to love this squeegee when I'm inking, because that way I'm not putting my fingers in my ink jar. And did I happen to mention that when you use our transfers, the transfers work with both our ink and our chalk paste. So if I wanted to, I could do this on a chalkboard, and then I can also turn around and make a t-shirt out of the same thing using ink instead of chalk. So I have a nice thin coat on there, and I don't know if you guys can see this. There's a tiny bit of pigment that showed through here. All that I'm doing is just wetting my fingers and just kind of blending that in. That's all you need to do, and that'll take that little pigment out. So So now I need to grab the paper towel. Get that off my finger. No worries also, our chalk paste washes right off. If you happen to get it on your clothes, same thing, it will come right off. So we have our first flower pot. So let's try and lay this second one down here. Trying to get over as far as I can in this corner here. Okay. Again, same thing I'm going to do just on this side. I'm going to use a different squeegee now and try to get all those bubbles out because I can definitely see them. So I want to pull this tight. It just seems to be like the larger silkscreen areas, like when you've got a big area like this, you just really need to make sure it's on there good. And there is a definite bubble in there, so I'm going to just grab it from this angle instead, and now we're going to go this way with it. I'm just applying pressure with my squeegee just to get that nice and tight. And now I feel like we're good. Might be slightly crooked, but I'm okay with that. And I got a little teal on there, so I might as well go ahead and use it on and do my second pot. And again, just when you apply a little bit of pressure, you see how it's pulling that chalk paste right down and putting a nice thin coat on there for you. And that is all there is to it. Let's get this last corner here. Yeah, I feel like I've been doing so many holiday projects, you know, Halloween and Christmas, that I want to take a break from that tonight and come in and do a wedding project. Why not, right? There's so many different transfers that we have for different things. Yay! Oh, I got a big old chalk boogie right on there. So I'm taking my transfer and I'm placing that right into my pan of water. And then I'm going to help this dry. Oh, let me put my squeegees in there too. I want to make sure I get all that excess off. So there we go. They can go in the pan too. And I think we're done with the teal, so we can clean this little stirry stick up and close that lid as well. There we go. Now, because I want to get a paper towel, I've got teal all over my fingers. Because we are going to layer with the Mr. and Mrs. on top of our flower pots, we need to make sure that our first layer is good and dry. This has got, I screwed up here, I see a little bit of a defect, but I kind of like that. It makes the flower pot look a little loved. So I like it. So as I mentioned, goes on wet, dries hard. This is perfectly dry now. And the chalkboard is a little warm right at this moment, so I'm going to just give it a quick second, take a sip of iced tea, let that get back down to room temperature. Because if I tried to put my Mr. and Mrs. on here while the chalkboard is hot, it's going to dry out my white chalk paste because the surface is hot, right? And it's going to dry up the chalk paste before I have a chance to get it off, and we don't want that. And yay, it worked. My end fits in there perfectly. And I did label the back. I'm going to fuzz that. I really haven't used my wedding labels too much. Just a few projects I did with it. Again, I'm just feeling for bubbles because this silk screen isn't quite as big as that one was, so this I'm comfortable doing with my fingers. I could definitely feel it better with my fingers there. So again, take the mister. I'm going to get all of my carrier sheets to one side here because what I want to do is when I'm done, I want to show you how to take care of cleaning your transfers. So I'm fuzzing this really good because I don't want this to pull up my bottom layer here. So you can see the silk screen, how you can see through it. So I'm just trying my best to kind of center it. I am completely winging it. Hopefully I'm centered. I feel like that's kind of high. I do have a little more room down the bottom, so let's bring that down just a tiny bit. Now, with the second layer, I'm not pushing down quite as hard. Hi, Mary. I'm not pushing down quite as hard on the bottom layer of my flower pot here. So let's do the same thing with our misses. We're going to go ahead and fuzz that on my pants. Pick that up and put it down on my pants a couple times to lift that lint so that it makes my transfer just a scotch less sticky. So all I'm doing is kind of matching up my M's and kind of sliding straight across, so I kind of even going across. It's definitely probably not the preferred method, and I could get technical and get different, oh, that's looks like it's a little too low, and get rulers out and things like that, but I just don't care to do all that, to be honest with you. I don't mind throwing caution to the wind sometimes and just giving it a whirl. So how are you, Mary? How are things? Okay, so for layer 2, as I mentioned, we're gonna go, let me just check. I really prefer to have my chalk paste really kind of thin. So this feels okay, but I might just want to put just a tad more water in there just to make it just a little thinner, because I really don't want to apply a lot of pressure when I'm using my squeegee over the silk screen. So, cute idea. I'm looking for ideas. My son's getting married next year. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah, I kind of was like, looking through all the transfers that I had, and I definitely had the wedding theme in my head tonight to just take a break from holiday stuff for a night. And I thought, I haven't really done too many wedding projects, so let me do that, and I kind of mixed the two, so I thought that would be fun. So now we're on to our layering. So again, I have a little bit of chalk paste on here. I'm going very lightly. I don't mind wasting a little bit of my chalk paste on here. I'd rather not go over it too heavily and apply too much pressure and waste a little chalk paste and have it pull up my bottom layer. So let's give it a go. Let's see how it came out. Hopefully I fuzzed it enough, and hopefully I went light enough and my bottom layer was dry enough. And it was! Yay! Okay, now I gotta make some room in my bucket for the transfers. I'm so happy. First one came out. I'll bet you are, Mary. That is so awesome. Weddings are like so amazing. My niece is actually going to get married in May of next year, so I'm pretty excited. I actually do have a couple projects, chalk projects that I've made for them when they have their bridal shower, so I'm excited about that. So let's see. Did we do well with layer number 2? We did! Yay! So happy. Okay, and then we're just going to finish up with the end in between. And that I don't have to worry about. I can just apply some pressure on there and not worry about that because there's no layer. These are so great too, because this is like awesome for making gifts to give for different occasions like weddings, bridal showers, things like that. It's like made with love and it's personalized, and I just love that. I think that's an awesome way to give gifts. So let's see, so many good ideas. Don't know what, I know, Mary, it's hard. It's hard. That's the great thing when you are a designer with Couture, because you have access to so many different groups. So like when you're a designer on my team, then you have access to my uplines team, her uplines team, and then hers, which is like grandma, all the way at the top of the company. So there's so much to see on Facebook. So many great ideas. We even have like a designer studio where we all share our creative ideas. So it's awesome. It's an awesome community of guys and girls sharing their Couture love. So now that we've got this part done, let's see if we can maybe get some flowers in here. The only thing that in hindsight now I'm worried about is that the flowers aren't going to fit because I did put them so close to the edge. But let's see what we can do. And I'm really kind of obsessed with this cherry blossom color. I know it is kind of rather girly, but I thought it would go well with these colors, and I thought that it would look pretty for plants. So let's see, where is my Love Grows here? So here are the different pieces. Let's see what we can get to fit. Sorry about all that crinkling. So these are all the different, there's layers for some of these. I think I'm good setting this down up here. We've got some, these are just details. This is a different pot. These are details that you could put on the pot, so that's kind of cool. We have different versions. We have aloe, which is pretty cool, although that's not really pink. I kind of want to go more with a flowery kind of thing. So, and this is also another detail that you can do for this other pot to make it look like that, to be two-toned. That's pretty cool. Then we just have some leaves. And we have, where's the cactus? Did I just have the cactus? Oh, here's the cactus. Then we have the cactus, and so this is the second layer. So you would do this one in kind of like a green and then maybe like a yellow. So that's a two-toned cactus. This is another little detail where you can put this right next to love. So cute. You could even put that on your pot. So many options. So here's a pretty cute little flower, but I'm concerned that that's going to be, I might just have to kind of go off the board a little bit to put these on here, because I think I kind of want them to be matchy-matchy. So I think I'm going to go with that. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. So because I'm going to use pink, I keep saying pink. It's not pink, it's cherry blossom. So I'm going to use cherry blossom on both sides. So I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to put a nice thin coat and then pick up and then do a nice thin coat over here. And I really think that the pink is going to look really, I did it again. Cherry blossom is going to look really good with the Thai teal. So I'm taking my flower and I am fuzzing it up on my pants yet again, because we know the steps now, right? Label the back of your transfer, fuzz it up, place it down, check for bubbles, apply your chalk paste, and take your transfer off. Easy peasy. So we fuzzed that a little bit. And like I said, I think this flower's gonna go off the board a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. I just want to get this point here. If that's off the board, I don't care. I'm gonna use my, back to my small squeegee, and I'm just gonna kind of shove that up against the edge here and kind of flatten that out. There we go. So let us see. I'm gonna hold this one here because I want to use that to flatten out the other side. So I did not open my cherry blossom, so let's check this and make sure. Again, where did my, oh, I put it over here. I want to make sure that this has a good consistency. You can see this is a little thick, because this is kind of close to our white, and our white chalk paste has no pigments in it, so it obviously is a little thick. So as you add more pigments in, it's going to get thinner and thinner. So we're going to just go ahead and add water, and I'm getting chalk boogies all over the board again. That's all right. That's what the hair dryer's for. There we go. Got them off. So just give this a nice vigorous stir. Don't worry about being dainty. You can be a little rough. It's okay. And if you need to add more, add more. Start slow with your water. Add a little at a time. And the more you add, the better it's going to get that nice consistency that I was looking for. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab some chalk paste to cover up our pretty flower. And again, this is going to go on top of the teal, so we're going to see how that's going to work. I went a little lighter where it was over top of the teal. I didn't think of that until just now, so hopefully it's going to be okay. So, and plus I wanted to use this twice, so hopefully I'm not going to pull this up. Get there in that little corner there. There we go. Set this down. Let's see. Cross our fingers, because this one, oh hey, that looks good. All right, we're gonna do the same thing over here. Let me just try and match that up. I kind of went right to that little first line. And we're gonna probably get most of the flower in on this side, so that'll be good. I'm just gonna use this real quick just to make sure I don't have any bubbles. And then we will do our final flower. I probably should have done the cactus for the guy to make it a little bit more manly. I just thought of that, but that's okay. That's all right. Getting all my lines out, making sure that I don't have any lines, and getting any of the excess chalk off. And again, applying even pressure as I remove. I'm taking my time because I do have a layer. So I'm just pulling nice and slow. And voila. I think that's it. I love it. I could put something here. What could I put there? Let me think about that for a second. Why I close up my cherry blossom. Let's see. What could we do? I thought that maybe I have... Do I have anything in here? No, I don't have anything in here, but I do have some stuff in the marriage labels. Let's see. I know I have a couple of cute little dupers in here. I could also do an arrow. I know I have a couple transfers that have arrows in them. Well, I have these guys in here, and I don't really think I want to use those. Although these look awesome when you use the bigger, because in this comes a bigger Mr. and Mrs., and this looks amazing on a pillow. I actually have littler ones, too. I could always do that. Let's see. I could always put that right there. That might be a possibility. Let's see. Just to add a little something more into that space. Maybe I'm going to go back to the teal. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's give it a whirl. All right, I'm going to set that there for a second. Hopefully I won't knock that over. I want to move all of these pieces back to their plastic baggie here. And then, again, that's labeled back. And we're going to fuzz. Going to fuzz again. Now, I could do I want to do it in the coral, or do I want to do it to match the pots? I think I'm going to match the pots. We're just going to go for that. Let's give that a whirl. Okay. Putting a nice thin coat of our teal over top. Getting all that excess right back into the jar. And there we go. Oh my gosh. How adorable. I love this. I love it. All right, now I'm really got a lot of transfers in here. Let me push some of these down so I can put some on top. How cute. Let's cover these chalk pastes up while I put my dryer back on. And we'll dry this off real quick. Get rid of my chalk boogies. Oh, thanks, April. I think it came out so sweet. I love combining transfers. It's so much fun. Hopefully it's not too busy with all the colors, but I kind of like it. So there we have it. Our Love Grows here with the wedding twist. Have fun. There she is. I just got a little dot there. I just got to get a little Q-tip in there to get that off. But I love it. All right, so let's get to showing you the final step when working with Chalk Couture. Here is that bucket that I mentioned, and there's all my transfers. And I have an old dish towel that I probably need to make this a little bigger. Let's do that because I've got a lot of pieces in here. So what we want to do, I'm going to kind of start down here at the beginning. See how I had this one in there pretty early? So it kind of took care of getting all that chalk paste off for me because it's been soaking in the water. Now this one was a little bit more recent, so all that I need to do is just kind of use my hand and help get that chalk paste off. I apologize, my light just went out. So then we're just going to put all of these, and with the darker pigment, sometimes they will stain the silkscreen area. Fortunately, the coral didn't. It's okay if it stains the silkscreen area. Oh my gosh, that's not what I meant to say. It's okay if it stains the teal area. That's perfectly fine. Some of our chalk pastes have a darker pigment and they do stain the teal section. So long as you're cleaning the actual silkscreen out, and that's what I'm showing you how to do, you are good to go. You will be able to use it again and again with no worries at all. Phew, we had a lot of transfers in here. Hopefully I pulled my towel out big enough, and then we've got our big pot down here. Get that guy cleaned off. I might have to reposition some of these. Let's see, so that I could try to get this one in here. Now what's going to happen is the final step, hello Kathy, the final step in cleaning is going to be using a disinfectant wipe. So let me just grab some of these squeegees out of here, because obviously the squeegees are like kind of like a silicone-y feel to them, and you reuse these over and over and over again. So like I said, this is the small size, and I cut them in half so I can do a project like I did tonight where I had many colors. This is also our small squeegee, but it's got the longer, see how this one's kind of short? This one has a longer space for your finger. They're both beveled, and that's where the chalk paste goes, so it goes on nice. It's kind of like a credit card. Like if you swipe a credit card down, it's got that nice, so that you can pull down your chalk nice and easily. So that's why I kind of have a lot of little squeegees that I just cut in half. And sometimes I even cut them in thirds, so that way I can get into really tiny pieces. But the cool thing is we have a new multi-tool that is great for stirring your chalk paste, and also has a little point to it to get into your finer little detailed areas. So that's cool. Then we got everything out of our bucket. So now I'm going to show you the final step and a good tip on how to get your transfers back onto the carrier sheet, because that's something even I still struggle with, especially with the larger transfers. Getting them back onto their carrier sheet, I'm not going to lie, like I said, for the bigger ones, can sometimes be a little challenging, but there's a couple tricks and tips to help with that process, because one of the worst things that you don't want to have happen is that a transfer kind of folds over and sticks to itself, and then you can't get it back off. So if that should happen to you when you're using our transfers, first off, don't panic. Second off, get it right into that bucket of water, or put it in your sink full of water. Just let it sit in water for a few minutes, and then slowly try to pry it apart. I had a major catastrophe the other night where I was working with a rather large transfer, and I was live. So I didn't want to run it to the sink while I was live, so I kind of just set it right on the floor next to me, and I promptly stepped on it. It stuck to my foot, and then it stuck to itself big time. But yeah, ugh, it is. It's the worst. Oh, the rustic wreath. I love the rustic wreath. And I think that happened to me with the rustic wreath as well, too, Mary. But yeah, I just got it into water. I didn't panic. You get it into water, and it did take a little bit, but I was able to get it back apart without stretching it. So it wound up being okay. So, shoo! You salvaged it. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness, Mary. That would make me cry. So what we do is I have all the transfers sticky side up when I pulled them out of the water. Now I'm going to flip it to the side that I chalked on. Use my disinfectant wipe. Just don't use baby wipes. See how the coral stained a little bit, but no worries, it's up in the teal section. And then the final step is to end back on the sticky side. So we get all that off. And then back onto the sticky side and once over again. And this will help to get some of that lint that we put on here off. And then we'll just, we will just fuzz it again the next time. This one has a little string on the end of it and it keeps messing with me. And you see how this one curled a little bit? This string is driving me batty. Not to worry about that, because once you put it back on the carrier sheet, you could always put a book on top of it and that will flatten it out. And honestly, I don't think I've ever done that. I think all I really needed to do was get it back on the carrier sheet and then it kind of flattened out again and it was fine. So we are almost done, and I'm going to show you the quick way, especially with the smaller pieces. This is a nice quick way to do it. And you can see that I actually have some stuff still stuck on the back here. I probably used this transfer on wood. So it probably pulled up a little piece of my wood. And that's okay. It's not in the silkscreen area, so no worries. I can still use it. We do guarantee our transfers can be used between 8 to 12 times. And the reason that we only guarantee 8 to 12 times is because of the different surfaces. Because you can use our chalk transfers, chalk paste, and ink on many different surfaces. So if you are actually going to use it on untreated wood, that's one of the reasons why we can only guarantee 8 to 12 times, because that's going to probably take away some of the life of your transfer. If you're diligent with cleaning it, making sure that if you are using wood that you wax your wood before using the transfer, then you should have no problems. I can honestly tell you that I have used some of my transfers, I'm probably up into the somewhere between 20-30 times range on some of them. Some of them I've had for a year that I've been with the company, and I've used so many times on so many different projects. So just taking the extra time to make sure that you're cleaning them just like that, and you're good to go. So now, this is why I usually like to label the back of my transfer actually what it is instead of back, for this very reason, because you can see there's a lot of pieces that are kind of similar and some that aren't. So some I can kind of tell, like, all right, this is the flower, but some are kind of similar, so it gets a little hard to know. So if you want to take the extra step and just label actually what it is, that is going to help you in the long run when you're mixing and matching like I just did. But so this is how it's now on the sticky side. So everything's cleaned off. It's now starting to dry. And watch. It's sticky again. So that's what the disinfectant wipe does. It makes the transfer sticky again. And so now when I return it to its carrier sheet, I'm just going to try to match up. Let me get out of the way of that one. Just try to match up on my towel like that. I went a little off, and that sometimes happens. That's okay. But do you see what I mean about how when you get it back on its carrier sheet, how it kind of flattens it back out again? So I'm going to redo this real quick because I did go off a little bit. So let me show you that again. So here's a good way to get this back on. And these buggers do get sticky again. So just know that when you go to use it again, you're probably going to have to fuzz it again. Especially if you use it on glass. Let me just give you that heads up. When you use our transfers on glass, you really need to make sure they are nice and fuzzy. And the opposite is true. When you're actually using our transfers with ink and you're doing it on a shirt, for example, I would not fuzz it up at all. Because when you're using it with ink, you want to have a good tight seal between your transfer and your shirt, right? This prevents bleeding of your ink through your silkscreen area. So, and that's the only case where I would say, and on canvas, they're the only two cases where I would say definitely do not fuzz your transfer prior to using it. So we are just about done here. I'm going to get this one on, and then I'm going to bring back in the project to show you our Love Grows here with our Mr. and Mrs. Twist for our wedding project tonight. So there it is. I gotta get a Q-tip because that's gonna drive me batty. So there's this tiny spot right here, so I have a Q-tip and I just wet it. So if you have any boo-boos, if you like went off of your transfer when you were chalking it and you like, whoops, I went off and I went onto the board. Hi Stacy, just grab a Q-tip. I always keep them handy, and you can just fix any of your boo-boos just like that. So if I had like a little stray here where it maybe bled or something like that, I can just touch this up with a Q-tip. So no harm, no foul. That's the great thing about Chalk Couture. It comes off with water. It's not permanent unless you want to make it permanent. And the way to make chalk permanent is to use like a Krylon spray sealer. And you could just put a clear coat of spray and that will make it permanent. I would never obviously do that on one of our amazing Eden chalkboards, but because I like to change out my designs. After all, that is the whole point of Chalk Couture. It's design, love, repeat. So we design something for a little while, and then we wash it off and we change out our design. However, if we'd like to make an amazing gift like this for a bridal shower, wedding gift, or what have you, and you're putting it on a different chalkboard, or even this one for that matter, and you want to seal it and you want to make it permanent, like I said, just go ahead and spray seal it with the Krylon spray sealer, and there you have an amazing gift. And repeat. Thanks Stacy. So this is our project for tonight. I thank you so much for joining. Yes, definitely have to watch the replay, Stacy. I'm really thrilled with how this came out. I was saying that I wanted to do something a little different, not holiday tonight, and just change things up and try to do something like a wedding gift. So I will post a final pic in the comments below. I will also put a link to my online store that where you can get these amazing products. And additionally, if you are not currently a designer, I would be eternally grateful if you would hit the tiny little share button over there in the bottom left hand of your mobile device and help me to get the Chalk Couture love out. And last but not least, oh wait, two more things. If you are interested in being in my VIP group where I actually run specials from time to time, please just type VIP below and I will be so happy to add you to that group. I do not add anyone to that group without their permission, and that is the only page that I am allowed to post specials on. So if you'd like to become a member of that, just let me know. Type VIP below. Finally, if you are interested in wanting to know more about Chalk Couture, signing up and getting the amazing kit that it retails for $99 and has $250 worth of products in it, please type join down below in the comments and I will happily put you on my opportunity page that has a bunch of posts on there that you can read at your leisure that go over the compensation plan and so many other pertinent information about joining. And I can tell you that it has been a blast being with this company for the last year and few months now. And the compensation and perks and everything else that goes with being a Chalk Couture designer are amazing. So there we go again with our final project. I thank you so much for listening and hanging in there with me tonight. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Bye-bye.